Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip, who showed up with his smoking jacket on. So it is a good evening. It is a good night. And you know what, Chip? Ripple can 100% win over the SEC, and the SEC is on the ropes in their fight against crypto. And the other thing that is certain is that crypto is for sure also changing banking as we know it, changing the way we interact, changing the way we move money, changing the way we receive money. There are so many things going on in the crypto space as well as the blockchain space. And 10 years from now will be so different. We're going to talk about a little bit of that tonight. We might even touch a little bit on the SEC.
It's inevitable, Jeff. Every show. You ready to go? Let's do this thing.
SEC show.
Let's kick off the week. Let's do it.
Let's
Come on.
go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Yeah, Jeff. Beginning of a big week here. I mean, it's always fantastic to do that.
A huge week.
Just watched the football game, and the Chiefs got defeated by Cincinnati's going back to the Super Bowl. And if Connie's watching, sorry about that, Connie. I know she lives and dies Chiefs and has it in her blood. So it's always sad to see when one of the OTC family members doesn't. But I always root for the AFC. So if they were going, I would have rooted for them.
David Bars, you should plan a party when you hit 30,000 subs sometime circa like 2042. You guys are all invited.
Do you want to hear how real that is? The other channel, which nobody watches, and I mean nobody watches it, is getting more subs than this channel. This channel picked up less than 70 subs in a month, which is worse than when I started streaming and Jeff started streaming 3 years ago. That's how bad it's getting. It's almost. It might be time to call it, Jeff. At some point, you got to call that thing. You got to put it down. You got to put it out of its misery, and no growth, no.
Unreal.
Everything's flatlining. So I don't know.
We got to get it spiked up again.
Yeah, I just don't have the
gin it up.
I don't have the what do you call that? The
secret sauce.
No, not the secret sauce. I just don't have the enthusiasm. It's just so depressing. I mean, what's the point? What would be the point of growing by 50 subs in 1 month?
Yeah. Well, let's ask YouTube.
I mean,
talk to YouTube about that. Say, YouTube, what in the world are you guys up to?
It's insane, man.
All right. So
very much insane.
Depressed tonight. Depressed by the slow growth.
Well, I just don't know. There's no reason to do 6 shows a week. Do one show, go back to one show a week, and get our 50 subs. Sounds pretty good to me. I'll be honest with you.
Hear that, YouTube?
Sounds pretty good to me.
I don't think the people like that so much.
They may not like it, but man, time's precious, man.
All right, let's kick this off.
Time is money, my man.
All right, let's do this. What do you got?
Well, I got another phenomenally incredible. Wait a minute. Okay, so this is one of my. I always say this every time another one comes out, but this is probably one of my favorite articles. It just popped off, and this is none other than Roslyn Layton. She is a phenomenal writer, and she really gets it every single time. And this is even better. The meaning of "we" at the SEC, which we talk about here a lot, Jeff.
We do. We need to start talking about the "we" in the YouTube.
Yeah, there's no I in team. That much I know, Jeff. There's no I in team, but there is a "we." The "we" at the SEC. Well, we did this and we did this, and when Clayton gets up there and says, Bill Hinman did a speech. I recommend you go pull it up on the internet because it gives guidance on Etherium. So, and then we get some other things to dig into too. Stefan Huber put a great tweet out, really just hammering Lubin, just calling him out to the mat, which is really great. So it's about a 6-minute read normally, which I'd like to listen to it, Jeff, when I actually do it. And but on the show it'll be about 20 minutes because we're going to talk about it. Look at that. See that?
I don't know. Let's get to the first paragraph. Maybe we can spend about 45 minutes on
it. Could be, Jeff.
Depends how exciting that first paragraph is.
So news broke on Thursday that President Biden would issue a sweeping executive order tasking his administration to develop a regulatory framework for digital assets as a matter of national security. This should have been welcome. Cryptocurrency innovators have begged for a clear regulatory framework for the better part of a decade, But the news sent a chill through the crypto space. After years of abuse of crypto investors and innovators, the credibility of the SEC is in tatters. Thoughts,
Man, this
Jeff?
is a theme. This is this is definitely the theme of the night, and 100%, if we look at this, the SEC and, a lot of other things going on currently in the administration, but let's focus on the SEC regarding crypto. And I think they have woken the giant, and that's 100% going to be, uh, I don't want to just say it's going to be seen, but it's being seen, it's being felt. And so this idea that it's sending this chill through the crypto space, 100%. We gotta, you gotta get the camaraderie, gotta get this community fired up, because is it, Chip? Is it a matter of national security?
No,
You
it's
think? I
not.
mean, there is just like
Not
an
at all.
overreach. They're being zealots.
Yeah, I mean, when you mention when you mention in that paragraph, that same paragraph, national security, what's a matter of national security? Having a wide open border at the southern border and having all kinds of people, and it's not. And people think, oh, it's it's the country below us. No, man, people are flying down there and they're coming over. I mean, it's amazing. People from all the world, people that normally wouldn't get in, they just walk them, and then they're busing them to all other parts. That's not a matter of national security, but Bitcoin, which threatens,
Oh yeah.
which is the biggest threat to not only the we should call it the Fed note. We should always refer to it as the federal note, the federal dollar, because there is no sovereignty. It has nothing to do with the U.S. It's a secret organization with a secret ledger, not like blockchain that's open. You don't know what their balance sheet looks like. That is what the threat is. That is the national security. And then again, Jeff, you teased it in the open that we've seen through history has a tendency to repeat itself. And if that's the case, it's very, very, very good for crypto and very bad for a lot of the incumbents. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think, we've no, I disagree, Chip.
I knew you were going to say
Disagree with
that, Jeff. I knew you were going to disagree with me.
Let's
You
go
do
the
not.
other way.
You do not, Jeff. It would be
I don't think
against
that's not at all what's going to happen.
It would be against your constitution, your own Jeff Constitution, to disagree with that statement. But I know you will, just for the fun of it.
Just for the fun of it. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that that's not correct. No, that's man. It keeps developing better and better. It's funny because you and I were talking about the other day, like, how much can we talk about the SEC and this Ripple case and how the impact on crypto? Shouldn't we talk about something else? And then the next day something crazy starts up like this. This is like, this is, to me, all these projects that are popping up are great. We're talking about them. We reference stuff that's going on in other countries, but this is the lifeblood, because if this goes the wrong way, and we're not attuned to what's happening, then we're going to be in a state of misery in the US. And we have to bring this message out there. I don't see anybody else really analyzing it and talking about it the way we are. And which is
why nobody watches, Jeff. That might be the reason nobody watches.
I wouldn't say nobody watches.
Too many truth bombs.
I would say that YouTube is shutting us down.
They are. But look at Devon Steve has a really good statement here. He says, a threat to national security. It's a scapegoat to do what they want. They want to try and put it back in the box. They hate the idea of stemming from the grassroots and not their banker mates. It's a good summary right there. And look at this next paragraph. Roslyn, Layton, determined to destroy crypto. The Biden news didn't happen in a vacuum. Fellow Democrats in Congress had called for a wholesale crackdown against crypto, even portraying anodyne digital stable coins as Frankenstein's monster that must be hunted down and destroyed. A Federal Reserve paper on a central bank digital currency, CBDC, identified the economic benefits of digital assets to remove friction from the financial system. Fed Chair Jerome Powell already set the stage for a concern at a House meeting on fintech this past summer, when he said a CBDC could eliminate the need for cryptocurrencies. It seems that Dems took this as a green light. Now, Jeff, just let's zero into the statement. What do they mean by this?
Back to that. So,
How?
This is, definitely well, how can we
That
even
makes
get into this
zero
again?
sense.
It makes no sense. So this idea, this notion that a central banked digital currency is somehow going to erase the need for the crypto space at large, and the crypto space at large very much tied to a lot of these projects that are popping up in blockchain. And we're going to talk, about an article in a little while, really referencing, or a Twitter post really referencing the idea, that,
Hmm.
blockchain is replacing banks, or crypto, not replacing banks, but really changing the way the whole banking infrastructure functions. And CBDCs is nothing more than a digitized version of the fiat currency to begin with, right, Chip? And we're talking about potentially programmable money that is 100% manipulated by a central bank, not tied to any projects, not tied to really facilitating movement of funds or all these other mechanisms to help bring more and more people into, passive income earning potential or anything.
Yeah, well,
Right.
Jeff, I think the inherent problem really it comes down to this. If you look at the word CBDC, it's not a DBDC, which would be a decentralized bank, decentral, right? Digital ass, coin, whatever. No, it's not that at all. This whole idea of a centralized, that's the problem with this. I love that they put centralized in their central bank digital currency, not a decentralized bank digital currency, and the thing about this is this tells me right there that there's really a sad unknown about what even crypto is. How would you eliminate the need for cryptocurrencies? So you want to rule out all stable coins. Let me get this straight. Get rid of all stable coins that actually have utility, and you want to replace it with the CBDC, which is not blockchain based, which is not transparent, and it never changes in value. And because of inflation, it only loses value. So explain to me how a CBDC is going to eliminate the need for crypto. The problem is, Jeff, is they're misassociating what crypto is. They still don't get it. And anytime there's a big paradigm shift, like for example, you remember early days of the internet, people like the newspaper sites, the newspapers. I don't even know. My parents still read them, but there's a newspaper, it's a forum, and I always hated holding it with the ink and all that. But that would come to your house on a piece of paper and people would read them. That's how you got your news. And then so they tried to do on the internet what they did in print, and that failed miserably and basically almost shut them down. And they're just the only thing that keeps them alive today is ad money, because of a certain ideology is the only thing that kind of keeps it alive.
Hmm.
So it says right here, it seems that Democrats took that as a green light on the path to prohibition. The SEC, however, has led the way in destroying confidence in the crypto space, and it predates the Biden administration. During the Trump administration, SEC Commissioner Robert Jackson repeatedly said in public forums that the SEC purposefully avoided clarity on what makes a digital asset a security, and therefore subject to the agency's regulation in lieu of talking to the market. That talking became a baffling set of confusing and contradictory guidance doled out by the previous SEC chair, Jake Layton, and his director of corporate finance, William Hinman, buttressed by the dozens of arbitrary enforcements which in themselves demonstrate a case of immense unchecked power. And that seems
And it
like they're really
continues.
trying to expand that, Jeff.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. And it's continued. Think about this idea of, this bill that was presented, this America Competes, that's going to put,
Oh, God.
unfettered power into the hands of the Treasury Secretary, and then, parlay that with this notion that there's going to be an executive order on some sort of, pushing, for regulatory clarity. And I won't even say clarity, just regulation,
Right.
in the crypto space. So we're not talking about clarity. We're not talking about proper rules of the road to help boost the innovation of this asset class. We're really just focused on this idea and this notion of immense unchecked power. So I think you can underscore that statement right there. That summarizes a lot of what we're seeing.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this whole idea, this immense unchecked power, the infamous talking event was Hinman's speech in June of 2018, where he declared that Ether, the Ethereum network's token, is not a security. Hinman said that since Ethereum had become, sufficiently decentralized, Ether sales would no longer be considered security transactions. Hinman's criteria also included setting aside Ethereum's public initial coin offering in 2014, better known to most as an ICO.
Where the hell were we in 2014?
Yeah, and then these there were principles taken with the other SEC guidance that led many to believe that the other token sales were not security transactions, including the holders and users of billions of XRP tokens that have been trading on the open market since 2013. XRP never had an ICO. The XRP ledger was built and decentralized before sales began. Ripple, the cross-border payment software company and biggest XRP user, along with crypto exchange Coinbase, sought explicit clarification from the SEC XRP. After talking with the XRP, Jeff, come on and talk to us. Ripple continued program sales of XRP, and Coinbase listed the token in 2019. Now, what do you think? Just my question to you is because they went in and talked to the SEC and requested guidance and they didn't say anything, and then that subsequently led to the listing of XRP on Coinbase. Don't you find that a little troublesome in this whole case that they went after him in 2020?
It's shortly thereafter, and the timing, is kind of interesting. Considering that you see that Coinbase had finally listed XRP, then you see Coinbase going public, then you see a lawsuit filed, against Ripple and singling out XRP holders and the asset XRP as a security. Timing, and just the way everything kind of lines up is interesting. Not saying that it's all connected, but the way things have unfolded, and then you have the delisting or the freezing of XRP assets on certain exchanges, others fighting back, certain international exchanges also, putting a hold on the movement or sale of XRP. There's definitely a lot more going on than what we're seeing, in the regular world, so to speak. I got to believe there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, behind closed doors. Obviously, there was some orchestration of when they had it. There must have been a discussion before they dropped that lawsuit, SEC v. Ripple. Think about the conversations with Hinman and Clayton, and was Gensler in the early days? Did they consult with him? Who were they consulting with? Who were they talking to? What really led up to it? Were they talking to anyone within the Etherium Foundation? And how do they go back, like we're talking about and referencing, before? How do they really go back and identify how the we's, all the we's? We say this and we say that. How do you clarify all of this stuff? I mean, it's just
little piggy went to market. This little piggy cried "we" all the way home. That's the SEC. So look at this right here. XRP panic. He goes, the channel's not growing. The lemon trees are not growing. Jeff's hair is not growing. What is going on here?
That's right. What the heck?
Let's continue on with this. So the SEC pronoun play. I mean we. I love this. Is probably just so clever right here. I mean we is so Hinman prefaced his speech with the usual disclaimer that it was his, Jeff, his personal view. It wasn't not necessarily that of the commission, yet everyone on the planet understood this as official guidance, and markets reacted. Remember how it shot up right after that speech? Minutes after delivering the speech, Hinman himself explained that he gave it because the chairman and the SEC felt they had to be clearer and transparent and give guidance about Ether. Now that's troubling right there, Jeff. That's
really troubling. When did he come out and say that? But that is very troubling.
Say that right here, actually.
So that's what they want. Yeah. So that's kind of crazy. I mean, so why would you come out now and say that they need to be clear? They need to have some transparency, and they want to make sure that they're providing the guidance. I mean, and then issue confusion. But I guess that's why Gensler comes in and says, hey, it's clear. There's a lot of clarity.
Yeah, and Hinman's comments, his own speech, moments after giving his speech is given because the chairman, he felt they had to be clearer. So if they, let's get about down to pronouns again, they and we is I, how does that work, Jeff? And then at a later
factor into it.
And in a later appearance, Georgetown Law School, Hinman said his speech was where we expressed to the world that we didn't view Ether as a security as it was then currently being offered. We also last summer spoke a little bit about how we were looking at Ether and Bitcoin. And then we made it very clear that we don't see a reason to regulate those as securities. It's a lot of
just
we.
talking in the third person, like he's talking about
So-
himself and himself, like
It's a lot of
me
we.
here now and me before. So
We.
I don't
For,
think so.
yeah,
don't
for a
think that's
speech
the case.
proffered is not necessarily the views of the commission. Hinman repeatedly said we when referring to the SEC's approach, but he wasn't alone. Jackson also reportedly called Hinman's speech guidance on what we think. 2 months after the speech, Clayton himself told the conference in Nashville that Hinman outlined the approach we, emphasis added, take to evaluate whether a digital asset's a security. And I remember that we played that clip on the other show. I encourage you to take a look at Bill's speech, which is available on our website. Why would you have somebody go to the SEC website to take a look at a personal opinion that nobody cares about?
Yeah, no, this none of it makes sense. I mean, from that perspective, and really, this article is hitting it out of the park once again. We're seeing multiple, and this is where going back to this referenced idea, that we're having finally, we have people within the crypto community are going to be rising up because they're upset. It doesn't matter what country you're in at this point, because you have to really be, cognizant of what's taking place in your country. But here in the U.S., people are going to rise up at the polls in 2022, and they're also going to start calling their congressional representatives. They're going to call their state representatives as well in their state house and Senate, and see what's going on from a state perspective. But it's even more important to hold the SEC accountable and make sure that our congressional really understand, is the congressional representative or the mayor, like in the case of New York City, does he really care about crypto, or is it just all a show to have kind of a Me Too moment to say, hey, yeah, look, I'm in favor of crypto, but there are enough out there who are against it where, we know, like the Shermanator and Elizabeth Warren, and then you see right here in front of us, we see misspeak and doublespeak and, taking all these ideas out of context.
No, exactly,
to
Jeff.
fit their own narrative.
Well, something you said, I was reminded of a little poetry to put to music, but rising up back on the street, did my time, took my chances, went the distance, now I'm back on my feet, just a man and his will to survive. So many times it happens so fast, you trade your passion for glory. Don't lose the grip on your dreams of the past. You have to fight to keep them alive. Of course, that's from Eye of the Tiger, which
I never heard it before.
I know it's just, but it's so funny because that almost takes on this, in light of this SEC stuff, it almost takes on this this battle like of crypto. It kind of takes on like this ownership of crypto, this constant fight, holding on to what you believe in. It's pretty amazing how that song fits almost every, a potential possibility. And then on his last day as chairman, Clayton's SEC filed its blockbuster enforcement action against Ripple, saying that XRP had been a security since inception, and all sales, including among retail holders on exchanges, have been security transactions that everyone, Jeff, should have known for like 7 years. Its logic so head spinning that Hinman's speech became a logical centerpiece of Ripple's defense that the SEC has been capricious in applying securities laws to avoid them and other crypto actors. It's going to be, can you imagine how glorious the article is going to be when Roslyn and Layton runs when the SEC gets punched so hard in the throat and they have to run with their tail between their legs because they just keep stepping it every step of the way, man.
This Chip, this is also why I don't believe there can be a settlement. I just think that the SEC is so far gone in, from their ideology, whatever their ideology might be, whatever their, play here might be, they're too far on that side, whatever that is, whatever side that is, trying to cover this up, from the wheeze to the personal opinions to, supporting and trying to pick winners from losers, trying to highlight and, this idea of the Etherium Foundation as the chosen one. And then coming out as a last action, I still say there was so much more going on that we haven't seen, that it's not just like Clayton on his way out is like, here you go, I'm going to just drop this lawsuit and then see ya, I'm out of here. It just, the timing of that is just so bizarre. considering all of this, go back and you look at all these things that have happened, and I still believe, then this is where, going back to this idea that the crypto influence, and where we see that Charles Hoskinson, setting up the
Yeah.
PAC, and we're talking about a political action committee, to where you could start raising funds and supporting and lobbying, and supporting congressional representatives that are on board, with everything. There's just, man, this is just like, they haven't seen this coming. And it's amazing that, Chip, for how many years, does stuff like this go on, where
That's
they
incredible.
double speak and misspeak and make it sound so confusing to the people, where they go back, no, we didn't say we said it was just personal opinion. We never said that.
Well, also too, Jeff, it's very obvious, I think, to anybody that's been following this, that they keep trying to delay with all kinds of tactics, right? We're going to delay this. We don't have this. We don't want to give you this speech, because where was that Hinman speech passed around? The SEC is supposed to provide some detail on that. I think what's happening here is that they are running a little bit scared right now. Bottom line is, I don't believe anybody, and I don't care if you like XRP or Ripple or any of that. The bottom line is that today's XRP has tons of utility, and there's no way, Jeff, that today's XRP is a security. It's just that there's just no way. So we're just going back in time, but I think they're going to have a hard time trying to prove that.
I think so too. Again, why there won't, another reason, again, there won't be a settlement. They're going to keep arguing and keep arguing and keep arguing. But check out Crypto G. I hear you, Jeff, but I fear the SEC is just delaying long enough to get Sleepy Joe involved. What do you think about that, Chip? Do you think that their delay tactic is because they know that there's an executive order now on the horizon, or they're, waiting because they're in cahoots somehow with this idea of this America Competes Act, where they're going to turn over all sorts of power to the Treasury Secretary and try to shut it down behind the scenes? Or is all that stuff happening because of the fact that the SEC is dropping the ball? Where do you see that approach? What do you think's happening?
Well, if we look at globalism and we look at all of the support for, look what's happening, look what happened to El Salvador. They are attempting to shut it down, showing them that it's
Right.
that, you see, they lost so much money and they have to stop endorsing Bitcoin as a currency. I think that right there really is the determining factor on what a lot is happening around all their countries, not only the US, but pretty much any other place, where they want to go ahead and crush it, because there's a lot of nervousness around that. I mean, more so in the US, because it's the USD is obviously the reserve currency. So there's that right there. They're going to connect as the national security incident, because I don't see how you put national security and anything else around that, and you connect those two together, that there isn't an ulterior motive that you want to shut it down. Again, Bitcoin, we say Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is ubiquitous for all of crypto. And the same way, this SEC v. Ripple lawsuit is exactly that. It has a determining factor on all of crypto. And I'm really happy to see a lot of the BTC maxis waking up saying, whoa, 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 whoa. And it's, they like Ripple or XRP, they think it's a banker's coin. They're starting to understand exactly what's at what potentially could happen here, right? They get that, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
In court, I'll read this final one. In court, the SEC lawyers stand behind their logic-neutral pronouns, the arrogant condescension that everyone should have known that XRP was always a security, that Hinman's speech wasn't guidance, and all those we's, meaning the SEC, completely mass delusion. It's a stunning display of federal hypocrisy, determined to protect its own power over and above any mandate to protect markets or investors. The White House should reconsider an executive order which blesses this madness. And this right here is the most powerful paragraph and sums it up in a beautiful way. Thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, just that last part, that the White House should reconsider any executive order which gives blessing to the madness. But I think, you could say that, in that summary, but we know it's not true, from the perspective that they're not going to reconsider because they are part of the madness. I mean,
unfortunately,
they are the madness, So, but I want to bring this up now, because I think this tweet is kind of poignant, before, as a kind of an in between, as we move on to the next thing. But this kind of kind of puts things a little bit into perspective, is because we're looking at why the pushback. And then you have to say, okay, I get it. Who are the lobbyists? Who's in control of the money? But this was posted by Rachelle Renee here. It says, "This is why I buy crypto. I owned a technology company back in the 80s and 90s and saw the internet killing USPS mail. I saw cellular killing payphone or coin phone businesses. I watched Netflix kill Blockbuster, and now we'll watch crypto kill banking as we know it." I look at it, it's not necessarily, it's going to kill it as we know it. It's changing. The idea and the structure of banking has been changing with fintech and others going online. So this idea of the brick and mortars, going in and seeing a teller, having to do all your banking in person. Obviously, that's been moving more and more online. And now we're seeing an even further jump where, even from earning interest, and we were talking about this the other day, what are they paying? 0.08%, or what is it, 0.05?
If
Or
you're lucky.
what if you're lucky, and the interest rates, you can get good 6-7% APYs as a easy, in crypto. And Gary Gensler was referencing the 8% that college students should be getting APY, and maybe he was actually referencing going over and staking or doing some yield farming. Maybe that's what he's actually referencing, that you can get 8% over in crypto and not in your bank account. Maybe he misspoke. But right here, you look at this article: telephone industry moves to ban internet phone software. Think about what that means. That's the telephone, and their lobbyists, because they were massive at the time, said, hey, you know what? These voice over IP guys, forget it. We're going to ban them. They shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be able to have free phone service and internet-based phone service that's going to reduce the cost. We want to keep charging ridiculous sums of money and all of that. And we see that changed. That's gone. Right? This whole idea of being, tied down to a landline. No one's running out to Bell South or AT&T saying, wire me up with a landline here. There's even businesses are moving to voice over IPs, and these landlines are pretty much gone. I mean, some of them still exist, or maybe you're doing it through like Comcast, Xfinity, but it's still a voice over IP type of, situation. It's not hardwired. And so if that's gone, crypto's changing things, and they're resisting. And, like you said earlier, referenced it, and that's why I want to bring it up now. Industries that were something before, they were the big guys before, they're not going to give up without a fight.
No.
They're going to hold on, even if, they don't want to change.
But unfortunately, the fight that they have in them is long past. If they had started this 2012, 2013, they might have had a bigger chance. But this comes down to the same thing, is that they didn't view it as there was a joke back then. Magic internet money. Yeah, okay, you guys keep doing that. It's grown so powerful, especially now we see what's happening up in Canada, right? And we see that it's also been duplicated. You got these truckers, and they've got these massive rigs, and they're coming from all over, and it's incredible. I'm watching people jump up and down with basically short sleeve shirts on, and it's 10 degrees or minus 10 Celsius. It's just really incredibly cold out. They don't care. They want freedom. You push them too far. Now I see that it's happening in the Netherlands, which is really exciting to see. But the bottom line is we're seeing this globally, where people are tired of it. They're like, hey, this is my freedom. This is my opportunity. This is my investment. You're a farce, SEC. You're not looking out for me at all. You were right when this lawsuit erased basically $15 billion. So explain to me where's the help? I mean, what are they doing that's any kind of a help here? I don't see any of it being any sort of benefit whatsoever. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And, I wanted to put this tweet up, Jeff. This is Stefan Huber. He said, folks, check this out. 2 weeks before the Hinman speech, Lubin already announces that Ethereum is a commodity and the regulators will allow him to issue securities and not securities based in Ethereum. 2 weeks before Hinman gave his speech. It doesn't stop. So let's listen to this. Let me know if you don't have audio.
Having with the regulators at the moment. How are you going around? What are the questions you're being asked? What are the key issues that you think you currently face and the challenges to overcome?
Yeah, so we're mostly focused on securities law. We are able to issue investor tokens or tokenized securities. We're also able to issue consumer utility tokens that wouldn't be considered securities, and we're focused on getting very clear definitions and helping regulators around the world understand that there are these networked business models that benefit from membership tokens or tokens that represent consumption of scarce resources. And as long as these projects are selling tokens to token buyers that make use of the token, and they're not selling in large quantities to speculators who are hoping to make money by the actions of others, that is a good, clean definition of a consumer token.
And that's what Ether is.
That is absolutely what Ether is. We did about 7 months of deep legal homework. Ether is a crypto fuel. It's one of the first crypto commodities in the decentralized World Wide Web, Web3. Others are for decentralized storage and bandwidth and heavy compute. On Ethereum, you can do trusted transactions, automated agreements.
Okay, let's stop this madness here, Jeff. I mean, this is
mad.
First of all, do you remember the audio of Lubin talking at one of these things that if you wanted to be able to take advantage of buying the token, you could use an anonymous email. And you could buy as much as you want. And if you were a whale, you could purchase it multiple times using and hiding your identity.
Oh yeah,
that's not speculation right there, Jeff, is it?
That's highly, suspect.
It's highly suspect, speculative, and ICO.
Very, very unusual language, and then to come out and be then protected by the SEC and representatives of the SEC, to come out and say, well, we've looked at this thing and, maybe in the beginning, but now it's no longer, and everything they've said about it, it really is, there again, this goes back to picking winners and losers. There's been some orchestration through the notion of Bitcoin. They know it's out, the cat's out of the bag. They can't do anything about it at this point. If they try to do anything, it's just going to be pushed underground, maybe get more value. We got other countries that are going to gravitate to it. The one thing, I was reading an article, I don't know if I posted, but they're really talking about some of the countries that are in the more developing parts of the world they can adopt crypto, they can adopt stable coins much easier than the more, developed nations. And so, you look at like the US or parts of whatever, the economies are already kind of there. And so switching is there's going to be resistance. And that's what I think we see on El Salvador, why it was a little bit easier for them to say, hey, let's adopt, Bitcoin as an asset. And I think as a currency, and I think as we go along, if we look at it more from a micro perspective, we're going to look at it cities like Miami, and then maybe go a little bit further out, a little bigger micro, not macro like on a national level, but go to the state level. So I think the state and the city level in the US is where we're going to see a lot of changes, many, many changes, because they're going to see the benefit from, the financial gain for the community. What can does this administration or the government in general, because, with Clayton and Hinman there, that was before this administration was in power, but the government structure was there. Are they really looking out for everybody's interest, or are they looking out for the lobbyists? And it just seems like, these lifers in government are looking out for the lobbyist interests, and they've forgotten about the people. But, those that remember the people are at the state level. Why? Because a lot of them, you have easier access many times to your state representatives, and especially, go to your city or town level. You're going to have much, easier access to those people as well, and have a little bit more influence. And I think that's what we're seeing over in Miami. Big influence coming out of Miami to get into crypto.
Right. And that's what a lot of people may or may not realize, but the founders and framers of the U.S. Spend a lot of time, 15, 20 years, really putting together the Constitution, drag out, knock down, throat punching battles. If you really want to read some interesting stuff, go ahead and read the Federalist Papers, because that's a phenomenal account of how it came together. And you'll see a lot of the disagreement. But one thing they knew was that at some point, the human nature would take over and try to control and everything. And that's why the states have the power. The U.S. government, the national government, is set up to provide for the common defense and other things along the lines of that. But the real power comes down to the actual state. If you don't like Florida, well, move to Texas. You don't like Texas, move to California. Or did I say that the opposite way? You don't like California, move to Texas or Florida, right? So and
Let's
if you
all
don't
move to
like,
California. Let's go.
a lot of enthusiasm there, Jeff. And so, or New York, like, I'm a former New Yorker, and you just like figure out how you can escape. It's
You're
like
a
Snake
recovering New
Plissken
Yorker.
and Escape from New York. It's like we thought that was a funny movie back in the day. Like, oh, that could never happen. I think it's going to happen sooner than we think. That's what it's starting to look like. And Stefan Huber is really on a roll here, because I want to show this other one that he uncovered here. He says, can you believe it? 2 months after the Hinman speech, Joe Lubin says in a Bloomberg interview that Ripple's escrow is the main reason the SEC is having trouble with not declaring XRP a security. How would he know? Right? And it's like, here it is right here. So, I mean, just look at this, Jeff. So I've got the article pulled up here too, but he says, it says Lubin gave an interesting take on two of the industry's biggest names that have been under the scanner because there's certain problematic features which do not completely meet the blockchain criteria. We just saw him in an interview throwing down some incredible misinformation when he's like, well, you can't, it's got a token and it's utility and it's this and that. What's the utility? I mean, at the time, it didn't do anything. If it took a year for that coin to actually be given out. It says these centralization issues have also made it difficult for regulators to classify Ripple's XRP as a security or not. Now, Jeff, this is a lot of what this was. People have said early days that the whole idea of Joe Lubin and the Etherium crew, foundation, whatever you want to be, all the people behind it, going after Ripple and XRP was because they viewed it as a massive threat. And they did everything they could to shut it down. We saw in that interview that 2 weeks before, he's already, we talked to the regulators. He's saying all the right things, but it sounds really suspicious. And I think this is what at the heart of getting to that information and why the Ripple attorneys have made that such a cornerstone of their case.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's definitely a solid point to bring up. And it's interesting that you bring up Bloomberg. I thought we put something in the keep on Bloomberg, and I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Well,
it's not.
Look
here.
at this line here.
Something referenced by Bloomberg, and it
Yeah.
was just really outlandish, but it doesn't seem to be in there. And it would fit perfectly into this spot, right?
Ripple isn't a blockchain technology. It's sort of a payment system. So I really don't consider that a competitor. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. It was about to have, it's just, the whole thing is just ridiculous. I'll be honest with you, Joe. Just incredibly.
It's absurd.
It's absurd. I know the one you were looking for. The one you were looking for
You see it in there?
this article. I thought it was in there, but it's this article here. I think it was this one. Was the other one? That's the screenshot of it. Is Ripple a scam? Was that the one you were going to show?
I don't know if that was it.
Okay, I'm not sure. I know.
It's a good question.
I don't know, but there were a couple ones that I remember putting in there. That's like for some reason they're not in there.
Yeah, but while we're doing that, I know you threw this one in here, and I just want to, this is a good representation of what we're talking about. So, Colonel Alen West. Alen West he was a U.S. Congressional representative in Florida.
My representative, Jeff, before they redistrict him right out of there.
That's right. He was your representative, and during those years, I got to know him pretty well. And he's just an amazing person. True leader, super passionate. Now he's over in Texas, and he's running for governor in Texas. Now, one of the things that's come out here, and you can see this statement. Now, again, we have to consider and really look at, this notion. You just said it a little while ago. You start talking about Bitcoin, and it begins to reference a lot of the crypto space. And I think we're going to start seeing that kind of a seismic shift in terminology where it begins with Bitcoin and it starts expanding out from there. But when we look at what, the statement here, from Bitcoin Magazine, they posted here, and this was, Bitcoin, the greatest technology shift since the internet. And that's Texas governor candidate Alen West. And this is just, I think, Chip, it's really a significant statement. And here you have someone running, for governor in Texas, and these other politicians. And it's not just, hey, he's talking about the benefit and how great, from a technology perspective, what it means. But this just shows, and I know if he's making that statement, he's not making that statement like the mayor up in New York.
No. This is
If Alen West is making that statement, he's sincere about that statement. That's a real statement, and he's put a significant amount of thought behind it. And we've got to find, more candidates like Alen West. I definitely have been trying to get him on the show, and I've been in touch with his PR person. So hopefully we can get him on, and you guys can actually hear from him, firsthand. And when you hear from him, and if you can go back and look him up, and hear how when he speaks, but this guy is just unbelievable. I mean, when you sit there in a room with him and you realize, when he was, over in Iraq and leading troops into battle, you can say, I understand, why he's a leader. It's almost like he's a natural born, leader. And you say, wow, this guy, you're going to follow him, and he gets it, and it's, but we want that kind of passion in the crypto space. And we want politicians that really get it, and they're going to get it because they're sincere about it. And Ship, there's, a lot that has to be done.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about Alen West too was that he also was somebody who campaigned, had promises, met the promises, when he went over, when he went to Washington, was elected. One of the things that he did was he was kind of that same guy. He did not put a filter on it. He did not go along to get along. He was very, very stuck to his values, and that upset a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, especially the GOP. And they didn't like somebody coming in with bold statements and calling out the BS, and that's what he did. And he was railroaded out because what they did was every 10 years you can redistrict and you can redraw the lines, and they basically redistrict him for some trust fund kid that just turned out to be an absolute dismal failure. But it wasn't really about that. It was the way they went about it. But that's what I love about Alen West, is he is a true patriot leader, and he's somebody who ruffles feathers on both sides because he's outspoken, and because he has a belief system. And this is one of the things, even going as great of the governor as Texas has right now in Abbott, Alen West is far more conservative and has a phenomenal track record. And, as much as Abbott has done a great job for Texas, I have to say that he's dropped the ball in a number of areas where Alen West has highlighted that. And that's why I think that West really ought to be the next governor of the great state of Texas.
That'd be amazing. Really
It'd be
would.
phenomenal.
And then you've already seen Abbott has opened up the door for crypto. I think Alen West would expand on that, significantly, like the mayor of Miami, has been doing, and what we're seeing up in Wyoming, and we're starting to see in other states, this, gravitating to this understanding of what this technology means. And, a true patriot like Alen West, understanding also the decentralized nature of this, the financial system, and what that means to help people within his state, within Texas, will be, very, very important. Man, I'm looking forward to, getting him on the show. I think it would be amazing. It'll probably be one of the best interviews that we've had, and we've had some really stellar people on. I think it'd be phenomenal.
Without a doubt, Jeff. And again, that I was a big supporter in his campaign, want to see his, speak and stuff. But I got to say that Joanie Gulbronson put out a tweet that really, Jeff, I got to tell you, it really made me think here. But let's put this up here. Of course, Joanie's, I don't know if she's here tonight, but she's a big fan of the show as well. But I wanted to throw this up there because I want to get your take and see if there's anything going on here that we should take a closer look at. She says, hey, does anybody see the resemblance? So if you can see, there's Daddy G right there.
Nope.
There you go, right there. Right. So
no.
You see, I got to tell you, man, it's quite the resemblance, right, Jeff? Now, let's see if does anybody recognize that picture on the right? Anybody?
Oh, yeah. See if anyone
Let's see who the first one to get it is over there to recognize who that is on the right. But if it's not Gary G, it sure as hell is his brother or sister, or I don't know. But I thought that was funny, the things I've seen today. Let's see who's going to get it in there.
God.
Yeah, okay, there it is right there, Sophie. There it is right there. And your little dog too. That's from the Wizard of Oz, I believe, right there. And your little dog too, Toto.
Mary Poppins.
Was it Mary Poppins? I thought it was the Wizard of Oz. Maybe it is Mary Poppins. I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
I thought it was the Wizard of Oz. Who knows? Nanny McPhee.
Nanny McPhee.
That's a little bit newer than the Wicked Witch of the West. That's what I thought it was, the Wicked Witch, right?
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
That's the Wicked Witch right there. Gary G, Daddy G, right there. He's the Wicked Witch as well.
Kravitz.
And I'm not even going to humor him with Wicked Warlock. I'm going to call him a Wicked Witch right there. That's what I thought it was. But again, it's hard to remember the whole thing. Wicked Witch of the West, right there. There you go. Wizard of Oz. Yeah. John says it. We have to believe it. So yeah, that's the Wizard of Oz. But look at the resemblance. My God, what a phenomenal. Joanie, you called it right there. I'm like, and who remembers that? And she's like, yeah, I kind of remember seeing Daddy G in the Wizard of Oz. It was wasn't he the Wicked Witch of the West?
I think he's the man behind the curtain.
He's definitely the Wicked Witch of the West. We are the West, Jeff, and that's exactly what it is. Holy cow, is that a lot of fun?
It is pillar of enforcement.
Don't forget the pillar of enforcement, Jeff. That's one of the more important parts of the SEC's responsibility. That entire
number one,
right? It's that whole pillar of. And look at this. This is something else. This is more. I just thought this was interesting too. But let me throw this out. Again, this is really less about crypto, but in a lot of ways, it's all about crypto. But Charles Gasperino put this tweet out saying the cancel culture takes aim at Joe Rogan. My money's on Joe because that's where the money is, and for good reason. Joni Mitchell removed all her music from Spotify in protest. So you have these decrepit ancient rockers like Neil Young removing their stuff. I'm like, Joe, you have to really wonder, Jeff. Have we gotten to a point of where you're so woke that you cancel yourself? You're like, I'm canceling myself. Okay, well, good. We'll remove it. I mean, no one listens to it. Okay, good luck. It's like, so, I mean, Rogan got $100 million ago over there, and they got to be making an incredible amount because in signing people up. And, I know Spotify took a hit. And then this was great because John Deaton weighed in.
I was listening to a podcast, and they were discussing the Joe Rogan and Spotify, and they said that he had signed a contract with Spotify, and if he leaves, if they said, hey, they wanted to part ways, they need to continue paying him for the full term of his contract.
Oh, that's even better because they'll blow up even bigger.
They have no way out. Right. And that's what the guy was saying. The same thing. If that happens, he's going to get even more media attention, more publicity, and he'll just go out and start his own platform. There'll be, a new Spotify out there. That'll be the end of Spotify. Good chance.
I don't know.
You're going to be like, see ya, Spotify. What's that?
I'm a big Spotify listener. I've been
so far they've been doing good. I mean, they're not even trying to,
well, they have censored a bunch of his, things that they deemed it. And again, the whole point of it is like, look, it's like if somebody comes out and says, Jeff, I don't even think the Earth is flat. I think it's a square. It's not even round. It's a square. You're like, who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, it's one person's opinion. And what's the danger in somebody expressing opinion? We know what it is on this show, Jeff, but I'm just saying in general, right? I'm like in general. So along the same lines of what you just said was John Deaton said, well, haven't people learned anything? All the ultra left is doing is making Joe Rogan and his podcast even more important and significant in today's society. Joe doesn't need any help from being relevant or important, but this isn't bad news for him. And I tend to agree with that. It's not bad news at all, Jeff. Look at Jeff drinking the rare time Jeff drinks some water. Watch him drinking all the time. Look at this. Jeff is drinking water. It's a little too late to be having some espresso, so I understand how that works. It's all the same. And then this tweet right here, which I thought was interesting. Now I can't play the audio of it because obviously it's copyrighted audio, but this is Crypto Comedy and Art, which we played other stuff before. But look at this right here. So XRP just hit $1,000. Yes. What are you dancing? Okay, so look at this right here. Let's look at this. This is another. You might recognize this guy right here, but let's go.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, hang on a second. I got to turn the audio off. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna have to.
There we go.
We'll have to talk through this, but there you go.
In your head.
Music's in your head, and look at this. Getting ready to bust some moves. It's none other than David Schwartz. You get a little. He's throwing the kneel. He dance around a circle, pointing up in the sky, doing a little bit of moves up and down. And wait a minute, he's about to get serious. Whoa, he's breakdancing now, Jeff. Look at this. whew, oh wow, man, he's very agile. Look at that, flips, twins, spinning on
yeah.
his head. I mean, whoever does this is incredible because I mean, it's him,
That's
right? Look at
awesome.
the hair. He's got the
That's
hair,
totally him.
you know, the hair's flopping all around, and he does a big old spin move right there, and then boom, there he goes. Oh yeah,
That's
you gotta
awesome.
like that, Jeff.
That's awesome. That's perfect. I like it.
You gotta like
I
that
like
stuff, man. It's like
I
just
like
fun.
that coming from Dougie Kidd. We're witnessing a huge geopolitical shift, power
We are.
structures and currency, the end of the cabal. So a lot of things going on. And then you got Sophie, take 2 years for Congress to understand XRP is not the same as Ripple. And we still have some within, in the media space that is pro crypto. And that's obviously, we know Charlie Gasperino kind of misspeaks a few times and he references Ripple instead of XRP, but he's getting it. He's been just a couple months into truly diving deep into, understanding the whole crypto space. And, just like Eleanor Terra, was saying, and she's going out there and wants to get more. She's passionate about learning more about crypto. And
Right
it's
on.
really, really, solid. So
Jeff, I want to bring this up too because this is just going to be another proof of it doesn't matter what it is, the project. But this last year, entrepreneurs Juan Belmonte, Francisco Alvarez launched what could be the world's first LGBT plus cryptocurrency named maricoin. It's been celebrated by some and slammed by others, obviously because of the name. Why was there such a backlash? We break it down. So the founders launched maricoin in Spain after a week-long pilot test. It involved 10 businesses in Madrid's LGBT neighborhood, Chueca. They hoped that crypto would finally start supporting the queer community, right? So they created a coin around a very specific use case to support a certain kind of a community, LGBT plus. And it says, but many users criticize the idea, calling it a marketing gimmick or a scam or a Ponzi scheme. Jeff, it doesn't matter what happens, but this is what every single coin, it doesn't even matter. It's like, they always go with it's a gimmick, it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, right?
Everything's a scam.
So the founders denied the claims. In the crypto world, scams tend to lead to anonymous, and neither have the support that we had, said Maricoin CEO Francesco, right? So our founders wouldn't support a project that sounded like a scam, marketing gimmick, or Ponzi scheme, he added. Maricoin has received the public support of 3 blockchain financial institutions. So why is there a controversy? Now let's listen to the controversy here, Jeff. The name could be offensive. Okay. Yeah. Hundreds slam the maricoin, drawing parallels with the English homophobic slur FGGOT. I'm not going to say it because it's one of those words you can't say here. But some Spanish speakers say the criticism was unwarranted, noting that the word maricon translates more as queer, actually more like gay, and it was being reappropriated. Okay, so this is why they don't like the coin, Jeff. They because of the name, right?
Okay.
It's like saying I don't like Bitcoin because it has the word bit in it.
So it's a Ponzi scheme.
So it must be a Ponzi. It must be obviously a Ponzi scheme. Co-founder said some people misunderstood the choice of the name. We want to re-signify the insult. It's ultimately linked to what pride means. We're not the first ones to do it, said Maricoin's chief. I think it's kind of a clever sort of a play there on the whole word there. Cryptocurrencies are too volatile. Number 2, the cryptocurrencies are too volatile, Jeff. This is another reason why people don't like it, right?
That's right.
Critics say it could undermine authority or control of global financial systems. Others say they're just a scam. So, and then number 3, they come down to advocates say they give protection against hyperinflation and uncertainty, right? That's what crypto is all about. Yep. Digital currencies like Bitcoin are becoming more accepted in some countries as an asset form of payment. And number 3, the maricoin the concept is complex. It's so complex. According to its founders, more than 10,000 people have joined a waiting list to buy premium coins before it starts trading. They plan for maricoin to be used as a payment in business, and they've signed an anti-discrimination manifesto. So, Jeff, it doesn't matter what project it is. It doesn't matter the cause. It all comes down to it's a scam. They don't like the name. It's a Ponzi scheme, or it's complex. I don't know. I mean, I read the article, but there's not a lot going on here. But let's face it. I don't know how complex it is to be used as a payment system. How is that complex?
I don't know, but it's kind of crazy. Crazy stuff.
It just reiterates that it goes back to the same kind of ridiculous critiques and criticism. We're what, 12, 13 years into this into cryptocurrency, and we're still calling it a Ponzi scheme, and it's volatile. And you know what's volatile? The USD. That's what's volatile. It's called hyperinflation.
Currencies. That's right. Yeah, I wanted to pull this one up just real quick. We're not going to dig through it, but there's an article that showed up here on Yahoo from Politico. So you got to look at all these different news sources. It's interesting to see the direction, but look at this. SEC's crypto crusade at risk in looming legal battles. And I like how they start this off in this article. In 2021, the SEC went after crypto. In 2022, crypto's coming for the SEC. It's a flip-flop, right? And it's this whole idea that the crypto community didn't bring the fight to the SEC. The SEC is bringing the fight to the crypto community, whether it's, it doesn't matter which project it is. And look at this right here. He said, as a lawyer, you're kind of trained and taught to not pick fights with regulators. Ripple General Counsel Stuart Alderati said in an interview, but we didn't pick a fight with the regulator. The regulator picked a fight with us.
Right.
Respect for regulators needs to be earned. And I don't think the SEC has earned the right to get the industry's respect. And I think that just summarizes everything. And there's, more examples of this. You can go to what happened with the Terraform guys, and you can go on and on with Grayscale. Everyone's, even Grayscale, getting ready to file a lawsuit, and they're lawyering up against the SEC. It's all coming from all sides pretty soon, and everyone's starting to see this overreach. And they're just not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
This is off subject, but Sir John says, interesting that a Lagavulin 12 is more expensive and tasteful than Lagavulin 16. Well, a Lagavulin 16 is a lot smoother, of course. So I can kind of see a little bit your point, but if I had to choose between the two, obviously I think I'd go with the 16 is nice and smooth, but you're right. The 12 is very good. I mean, it's very bankable. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, I thought I would just wait on that. More expensive, Jeff.
Did not know.
Anyway, it's time. It is that time. Look, the week is just getting started. Bound to be a lot more interesting stories that we could cover as the week goes on, and we will not be shy about hitting those as we are approaching the 102 mark here. And it's time to bust it out, Jeff. We stream.
Chip. When do we stream, Chip?
6 days a week, Jeff, from Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then all of a sudden you do your Saturday morning rants from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. So that's always Saturday a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always very cool. And if you're brand new here, we had about 200 people, 200 plus a minute ago. If you're brand new here, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifier. That way you can make sure you get notified every time we go live, which is awesome. Also, go check out the other channel. We have some videos that are posting 8 a.m. tomorrow, 8 a.m. Tuesday, and they're short 8 to 10 minute videos. Go check those out. I think you'll enjoy it. And with that, Chip, I think we'll be back tomorrow night.
We will, guys, and we will check you guys out on the next one. Chip and Jeff out. Have a good start of your week. Let's go.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.